Hello, good evening. How are you? So I just washed my hands and I actually even I was like contemplating wearing gloves while reading this book because it's a rare book, this edition. And actually, okay, so let me just tell you the title of it. It's The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. And the actual title, when you open into this tome, it's so big, is it's called, hey, Queen Carrie, welcome in. It's entitled An Encyclopedic Outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Qabbalistic, and Rosicrucian Symbolical Philosophy, being an interpretation of the secret teachings concealed within the rituals, allegories, and mysteries of all ages by Manly P. Hall. Full page illustrations by J. Augustus Knapp. And this is the Diamond Jubilee Edition. It's a reduced facsimile, and it is the Philosophical Research Society publication. Yes, I finally Saturnian. Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. Okay, so this one's going to take like 2 years to get through. I'm saying that I'm going to do like one reading a week for this book. It is a tome. In fact, I busted out my metal music stand because it's too heavy to read comfortably, right? Oh, I'll show you. I will. In fact, though, let me say this too. This is one of the most expensive books that I've ever purchased. And actually, I think it is the most expensive book I've ever purchased because I needed this specific edition because I wanted all the information. But all right, so this is the book. And let me say too, for a book that's like hundreds of dollars, like it came with dings. What the F? That should be illegal. Look at this bullshit. It's got like wrinkles and stuff. Anyways, I'm still super thankful to have it. Super duper thankful that this is in my library. So there's color pictures and everything, and it's like the whole spiel front to back. So let's get into it. So this first picture is, oh gosh, I don't know how to say it already. The first picture, copyrighted by Manly P. Hall, is Prince Ragocsi of Transylvania, Comte de Saint Germain. And let me show it to you, and then I'll read about it for you. I have to say that I don't think that this was like is this picture all the way in? Okay, no, there we go. I don't think I directly found this book from Robert Sepper, but I found it while looking at books that I had gotten because I always get my best books from him. And I came across this one while looking at other books. And hey, Therasia Byrne, welcome in, everybody. So yeah. And then after doing research about it, I found that I really needed the Philosophical Research Society production of it because it has everything. Because there's like a lot of people that talked about like bunk reprints and things like that. So yeah, let's see what it says here now. The great initiate who termed himself the Comte de Saint Germain must not be confused with the French general of the same name, for the Wonder Man, as M. de Saint Germain was often called, was not a scion of the French family. The theory long held that he was a Portuguese Jew has now been discarded as untenable. The most reasonable conclusion regarding his birth is that he was the legitimate son of Franz Leopold, Prince Ragocsi of Transylvania. In fact, the Comte de Saint Germain appeared in Leipzig, which I think is a place, Leipzig, in 1777 as Prince Ragocsi. He also admitted to Prince Karl of Hesse that he was the son of Prince Ragocsi and that he was reared and educated by the last Duke de Medici. Ooh, the Medicis. Oh, so cool. And comte means count. Rainy in Wells, but you're all tucked up. That sounds so cozy. Awesome. Okay, so is there more here? Because even though this book is huge, the print, well, this first part for the preface is nice and large, but then when we get into it, it's tiny. So it's going to take like 30 minutes a page. So I'm saying like 2 to 5 years. Code! Yay! Welcome in, my friend. Awesome. Good to see you. So I wasn't done with this. The contradictory nature of the data regarding the Comte de Saint-Germain is strikingly evidenced by several chronological inconsistencies. It is generally supposed that this mysterious adept was born in 1710, but the Countess versus Gurgi declared that she had seen him during that year in Venice, and that he appeared to be between 45 and 50 years of age at that time. While the church register at Eckernford contains a record of his death in 1784, it is known that he was seen upon several occasions subsequent to that date, having attended a Masonic conference in 1785 and having been recognized in Venice in 1788. The last historical mention of the Comte de Saint-Germain was in 1822, at which time he was presumably on the eve of embarking for India. I'll show you the picture again. It's heavy. Okay, here we go. Preface to the Diamond Jubilee Edition. This is so beautiful too. The O is art. On the occasion of the 16th anniversary of this volume, it seems fitting to reflect on the circumstances that led to its writing. The original edition was planned and issued in the interval between the termination of World War I and the Great Depression of 1929. During this time, I had a brief career on Wall Street, the outstanding event of which was witnessing a man depressed over investment losses take his life. My fleeting contact with high finance resulted in serious doubts concerning business as it was being conducted at the time. It was apparent that materialism was in complete control of the economic structure, the final objective of which was for the individual to become part of a system providing an economic security at the expense of the human soul, mind, and body. I felt strongly moved to explore the problems of humanity, its origin and destiny, and I spent a number of quiet hours in the New York Public Library tracing the confused course of civilization. With a very few exceptions, modern authorities downgraded all systems of idealistic philosophy and the deeper aspects of comparative religion. Translations of classical authors could differ greatly, but in most cases, the noblest thoughts were eliminated or denigrated. Those more sincere authors, whose knowledge of ancient languages was profound, were never included as required reading, and scholarship was based largely upon the acceptance of a sterile mainstream. Dude, it's like he could have written this right now. It's like I'm always blown away. Denigration. Fortunately, since contemporary scholarship had little regard for the wisdom of the past, there was no premium on their earlier texts. As a result, I assembled a fair collection of the works of those forgotten sages whose labors the world owes a tremendous debt of gratitude. It seems that my efforts were timely, and the first 2 editions of the book were sold out before the volume came off the press. There was certainly a blessing upon the book. Written by a young man in his 20s, it has now passed through a number of editions with over 30 printings and is still a bestseller in its field. We are now coming to the end of the 20th century, and the great materialistic progress, which we have venerated for so long, is on the verge of bankruptcy. We can no longer believe that we are born into this world to accumulate wealth and abandon ourselves to moral pleasures. We see the dangers and realize that we have been exploited for centuries. We were told that the 20th century was the most progressive that the world has ever known, but unfortunately, the progression was in the direction of self-destruction. I ponder on that word progression daily. Rose, welcome in. Awesome. To avoid a future of war, crime, and bankruptcy, the individual must begin to plan his own destiny, and the best source of the necessary information comes down to us through the writings of the ancients. We have tried to select the most useful and practical elements of classical idealism, combining them into a single volume. The greatest knowledge of all time should be available to the 20th century, not only in the 1 shilling editions of the Bonn Library, in small type and shabby binding, but in a book that would be a monument, not merely a coffin. John Henry Nash, who designed this book, agreed with me. It is our sincere hope that this book will endure into the 21st century and continue to make available the contents of countless books and manuscripts that have been destroyed by the ravages of war. This volume is not devoted to my own opinions, but is a tribute to the memoirs and labors of the noblest of mankind. May the 21st century bring with it a restoration of those systems of inspired instruction so desperately needed. Manly P. Hall, Los Angeles, California, October 1st, 1988. Oh my gosh. I was 5. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that was the preface to the Diamond Jubilee Edition, and now we're into the foreword. It is an honor to have been invited to write this foreword. My aim shall be to set forth briefly what a careful study of this important volume over a period of years has meant to me. Associations of men and women, bound together by oaths and obligations into esoteric fraternities, have descended from the earliest times and bear witness to a natural inclination to perpetuate doctrines which led good of mankind. With the growth of social consciousness, these secret societies became the custodians of the highest cultural concepts. Their initiation rites were symbolic pageantries suitable to inspire veneration for the divine mysteries and admiration for the powers of nature and of God. Most of the mythologies of classical nations were originally rituals of secret societies, and it is a mistake to assume that earlier cultures accepted as literal the elaborate theology and legendary found in their traditions. Historically, the secret societies were closely identified with state religions. Basic knowledge was believed to have been bestowed by the gods in a remote age. The esoteric philosophies have always been taught by means of secret organizations to which candidates were admitted only after appropriate preparation and initiatory rites. These spiritual brotherhoods of scholars, sages, and mystics have flourished among all peoples, ancient and modern, and in all parts of the world. In the program of the mysteries, each individual must grow into the comprehension of truth. Before he could be entrusted with the divine powers of mind and will, he must accept knowledge as a responsibility to his creator and his world, rather than as an opportunity for the advancement of personal ambitions. The masters of the mysteries taught secret practices and disciplines by which the properly qualified disciples could develop the potent abilities latent within the soul, and so come into conscious communication with spiritual realities. Initiates of the philosophical societies came to be regarded as possessing extraordinary faculties and powers. They enjoyed the special favor of the divinities, performed miracles, and were worthy of the title twice born. For they had come to second birth from the womb of the mysteries. Sciences, or these adept philosophers, were the truly evolved human beings. Most of the arts and sciences which enriched the modern world were discovered, developed, and in many instances perfected by these initiate philosophers and priests. Scholarship was recognized as the pursuit most suitable to the abilities of man, but scholarship was always the means, never the end. The end of the sacred sciences was the abstraction of the human soul from bondage to the senses and its preparation to receive within itself the light of vast truths. Some men are naturally suited to higher learning, for they possess integrity of motive, the patience of effort, and the vision of ends. These labored toward the soul's improvement and championed enlightened progress above other considerations. Those of different opinion opposed the mystery schools. It was inevitable that the initiates of the mysteries should unite themselves against the forces seeking their extinction. Thus, while the secret doctrine, with its body of disciples, functioned more or less openly in ancient society, it later passed almost completely from public view. This circumstance should not be interpreted as a decline of plan or purpose. The esoteric schools remained as a powerful force for the regeneration of human institutions. Good morning, Mr. Hugh. Welcome. Hey, buddy, welcome in. Awesome. Those who do not understand the spiritual sciences question their use of unusual symbols, myths, and figures employed to conceal the essential teaching. Let it be remembered that these clouds were no part of the original doctrine, but were made necessary by intolerance and bigotry. The use of indirect communication was based entirely upon practical considerations. To remain unknown was the best way to prevent a repetition of the disaster which occurred to the Knights Templars. The veils which concealed the arena of the mysteries were not employed to cover ignorance, but to protect wisdom. And in Europe, it was protected for 1,000 years. The secrets of the mysteries are obviously metaphysical, philosophical, and esoteric, and relate to processes taking place within the fields of the human psyche during the practice of the spiritual disciplines. Discipleship ends in the attainment of an inner capacity suitable for the realization of the esoteric tradition. The disciples, by expanding consciousness, give the initiate practical mastery over that which is learned and constant awareness as to the proper use of higher learning. If these sacred academics imparted only scientific, intellectual, ethical, or cultural doctrines somewhat in advance of their time, they could produce only scholars. The initiates of the esoteric tradition were never regarded merely as brilliant intellectuals. From white-walled Memphis to rock-hewn Elora, they were honored as practicing a higher dimension of essential knowledge. History preserves the records of numerous persons living in different times and in various places who have exhibited a knowledge and skill which cannot be explained according to present standards of erudition. We cannot ignore the testimonies of such learned men as Pythagoras, Buddha, and Plotinus. Many of the noblest members of our race have expressed their profound admiration for the esoteric institutions flourishing in their own times. Not to recognize the esoteric sciences is to disregard most that has contributed to the advancement and improvement of the human state during the last 5,000 years. There being a divine order of learning superior to mundane knowledge, and its being available, the time is most appropriate for the further restoration of this sacred tradition. Adeptship is the state of complete spiritual maturity, so far as this is possible to a member of the human family. Deficient in nothing necessary to a life of wisdom, the action most likely to contribute. Oh, wait. I skipped a line. Deficient in nothing necessary to a life of wisdom, the adept is sufficient to his own needs and capable of determining what course of personal action most likely to contribute to enlightenment. The adepts foreshadow the state of mankind when it will have attained the fullest release of its faculties and its powers. The adept is, therefore, the truly evolved of our species. Accordingly, the adepts, considered together as the citizens of an invisible empire of the philosophic elect, constitute the heroic elder brothers, the custodians and protectors of humanity. As the interpreters of the mysteries, they are the true educators and illuminators. As the redeemed, the servants of divine purpose, they comprise a powerful, creative, and directive force in the world. The science of life is, therefore, the supreme science, and the art of living, the finest of the arts. There have always been truth seekers willing to acknowledge the sovereignty of the eternal over the temporal. These have dedicated themselves to the mastery of life and have perpetuated from generation to generation the knowledge and skill they accumulated. This body of essential knowledge is the esoteric tradition. The institutions which perpetuated this tradition are the mystery schools, and the graduates of these schools are the adepts. This volume reveals that the lore and legendary of the world, the scriptures and sacred books, and the great philosophical systems all tell the same story. Human ambition may produce the tyrant. Divine aspiration will produce the adept. This, then, seems to me to be the significant message of Manly P. Hall's Encyclopedic tome. So my sincere wish is that this contribution by our friend may mean as much in your life as it has in mine. Henry L. Drake, Vice President, the Philosophical Research Society. Damn, Bean, isn't this already amazing? All right. 3. Preface to the Golden Anniversary Edition. And then there's a picture of Manly P. Hall here, looking all make-upped up. I feel like I can see the powder on his face. Oh, here's the first letter too. Isn't it cool? Yeah, it's so cool. So, preface to the Golden Anniversary Edition. The first and second editions of this book were completely prescribed in the fall of 1925. Wow, that's 3 months. Although the finished volume was not distributed until 1928. 2 copies were especially prepared with appropriate dedication pages designed by John Henry Nash. One for presentation to the Crown Prince of Sweden, and the other for the Scottish Rite Bodies of Oakland, California. 5 editions were printed from the original type, and all of these have been out of print for nearly 45 years. Since that time, copies have been only occasionally available in rare bookshops where they have commanded a high premium. To meet the continuing demand for the text, the book was reprinted in reduced format, with the illustrations in black and white, and there have been 15 printings of the smaller edition. Because of numerous requests for the work in its original size, it seems appropriate to issue this Golden Anniversary Edition, with the text and color plates faithfully reproduced by the photolithographic process. It is most gratifying that this labor of my earlier years has survived the test of time, and it is also pleasant that I have likewise endured to write this preface. It is also likewise pleasant that I have endured. I love that. In assembling the collection of reference material used in the preparation of this volume, special attention was given to the patent labors of the emblem writers. It is impossible to date, even approximately, the origin of the concept of emblems. At an early date, however, these devices mingled with the streams of religions and moral philosophy. Although all emblems are symbols, all symbols are not emblems. Right? Okay, I found it. Technically, a symbol is used to express a concept, and an emblem expresses a precept. But in the course of time, the terms became interchangeable. A symbol may describe abstract attributes or qualities as symbols of the Godhead, or the attributes associated with saints or venerable persons. Among old nations, emblems and symbols served two important purposes. They became first the simplest means of communicating the mysteries of religion, and second, a convenient method for picturing and even extending the social graces. In the house of Dionysa of Pompeii, elaborate religious murals representing scenes of the initiation rituals cover the walls. Similar ornamentations, either painted or sculptured, adorn Eastern shrines and temples and combine decoration and visual impression. Henry Green, in his introduction to Whitney's Choice of Emblems, writes, quote, "Naturally and easily, the term emblem becomes applicable to any painting, drawing, or print that was representative of an action, of a quality of mind, or of any peculiarity or attribute of character." Emblems, in fact, were and are a species of hieroglyphics, in which figures or pictures, besides denoting the natural object to which they bear resemblance, were employed to express properties of the mind, virtues, and abstract ideas, and all the operations of the soul. End quote. It's like, I know this is all mainstream, but it's like, I can't remember what that show was called that was like so popular. Winter is Coming, all of their emblems. Or even like houses back in the day, like they had sayings that were attached to their emblems, and their emblems reflected such things, almost like the plaid. And anyhow, it's fascinating. What is that thing called? Anyways, that show. Mystical speculations about God, the world, and man occupied the minds of many medieval scholars and theologians. They conceived creation itself to be a symbol or figure through which the divine will manifested its purposes and intentions. Thus, by analogy, the world revealed God, and man revealed the world. The human being himself was a microcosm, a miniature of the cosmos. After the collapse of the pagan cultural institutions, it was unlawful to teach classical learnings or to advance scientific knowledge contrary to the prevailing scholasticism. To avoid persecution and at the same time perpetuate for the benefit of qualified disciples the more advanced formulas of the ancient wisdom, the sacred truths were presented symbolically through the beautiful engraved devices of the emblem writers. The 17th century restoration of learning gradually brought about a universal reformation, as proclaimed in the Fama of the Rosicrucians. A careful study of the emblem books of that period reveals that most of the figures and designs were based upon Egyptian or Greek mythology, and like the alchemical symbols, perpetuated the secret teachings of esoteric fraternities. Today, those well informed in the Orphic mysteries and the mystical speculations of the Neoplatonists can interpret the designs with little difficulty. It appears that the emblem books were, in many cases, actual extensions of Pythagorean and Platonic metaphysics. Paracelsus said that the first hieroglyphic book is Nature, published in folio, And the second hieroglyphic book is Man, published in 12. Hey, Andrea, good to see you. Awesome. I hope you do relax for the evening. Wonderful. 12. To live in a world without becoming aware of the meaning of the world is like wandering about in a great library without touching the books. It has always seemed to me that symbolism should be restored to the structure of the world education. The young are no longer invited to seek the hidden truths, dynamic and eternal, locked within the shapes and behavior of living beings. The present volume is itself a symbol made up of many symbols gathered from rare sources. It invites the thoughtful reader to explore the meanings of these emblems and devices with his own insight. Because spiritual growth is the goal of all human aspiration, symbols that help us to grow are precious things, for they open the doors to life everlasting. I wish to express my deep indebtedness to those faithful artists and engravers whose remarkable meditation pictures have guided my labors for so many years. This book is dedicated to the truths they served and the wonderful designs which they have bestowed as a priceless heritage upon the truth seekers of the future. It is my sincere hope that this memorial may continue to serve and inspire new generations of kindly and dedicated people. Manly P. Hall, Los Angeles, California, October 1st, 1975. Preface. Numerous volumes have been written as commentaries upon the secret systems of philosophy existing in the ancient world, but the ageless truths of life, like many of the earth's greatest thinkers, have usually been clothed in shabby garments. The present work is an attempt to supply a tome worthy of those seers and sages whose thoughts are the substance of its pages. To bring about this coalescence of beauty and truth has proved most costly, but I believe that the result will produce an effect upon the mind of the reader which will more than justify the expenditure. A work upon the text of this volume was begun the first day of January 1926 and has continued almost uninterruptedly for over 2 years. The greater part of the research work, however, was carried on prior to the writing of the manuscript. The collection of reference material was begun in 1921, and 3 years later the plans for the book took definite form. So I misunderstood what I read before then, right? It took more than just 3 months. For the sake of clarity, all footnotes were eliminated, the various quotations and references to other authors being embodied in the text in their logical order. The bibliography is appended primarily to assist those interested in selecting for future study the most authoritative and important items dealing with philosophy and symbolism. To make readily accessible the abstruse information contained in the book, an elaborate topical cross-index is included. I make no claim for either the infallibility or the originality of any statement herein contained. I have studied the fragmentary writings of the ancients sufficiently to realize that dogmatic utterances concerning their tenets are worse than foolhardy. Traditionalism is the curse of modern philosophy, particularly that of the European schools. While many of the statements contained in this treatise may appear at first wildly fantastic, I have sincerely endeavored to refrain from haphazard metaphysical speculation, presenting the material as far as possible in the spirit rather than the letter of the original authors. By assuming responsibility only for the mistakes which may appear herein, I hope to escape the accusation of plagiarism, which has been directed against nearly every writer on the subject of mystical philosophy. Having no particular ism of my own to promulgate, I have not attempted to twist the original writings to substantiate preconceived notions, nor have I distorted doctrines in any effect to reconcile the irreconcilable irreconcilable differences present in the various systems of religio-philosophic thought. The entire theory of the book is diametrically opposed to the modern method of thinking, for it is concerned with subjects openly ridiculed by the sophists of the 20th century. Its true purpose is to introduce the mind of the reader to a hypothesis of living wholly beyond the pale of materialistic theology, philosophy, or science. The mass of abstruse material between its covers is not susceptible to perfect organization, but so far as possible, related topics have been grouped together. Rich as the English language is in media of expression, it is curiously lacking in terms suitable to the conveyance of abstract philosophical premises. A certain intuitive grasp of the subtler meanings concealed within groups of inadequate words is necessary, therefore, to an understanding of the ancient mystery teachings. Although the majority of the items in the bibliography are in my own library, I wish to acknowledge gratefully the assistance rendered by the public libraries of San Francisco and Los Angeles, the libraries of the Scottish Rite in San Francisco and Los Angeles, the libraries of the University of California in Berkeley and Los Angeles, the Mechanics Library in San Francisco, and the Crotona Theosophical Library at Ojai, California. Dude, I worked in Ojai. Special recognition for their help is also due to the following persons. I mean, I don't know why that excited me so much, but it did. Okay, so special recognition for their help is also due to the following persons: Mrs. Max Hindle or Heindel, Mrs. Alice Palmer Henderson, Mr. Ernest Dawson and staff, Mr. John Howell, Mr. Paul Elder, Mr. Philip Watson Hackett, and Mr. John R. Ruxtell. Single books were lent by other persons and organizations, to whom thanks are also given. The matter of translation was the greatest single task in the research work incident to the preparation of this volume. The necessary German translations, which required nearly 3 years, were generously undertaken by Mr. Alfred Berry, Beri, who declined all remuneration for his labor. The Latin, Italian, French, and Spanish translations were made by Professor Homer E. Earl, or rather, Homer P. Earl. The Hebrew text was edited by Rabbi Jacob M. Alkow. A-L-K-O-W. Miscellaneous short translations and checking also were done by various individuals. The editorial work was under the supervision of Dr. C.B. Rowlingson, through whose able efforts, literary order was often brought out of literary chaos. Special recognition is also due the services rendered by Mr. Robert B. Tummins of the staff of H.S. Crocker Company Incorporated, to whom were assigned the technical difficulties of fitting the text matter into its allotted space. For much of the literary charm of the work, I am also indebted to Mr. M. M. Saxton, to whom the entire manuscript was first dedicated and to whom was also entrusted the preparation of the index. The splendid efforts of Mr. J. Augustus Knapp, the illustrator, have resulted in a series of color plates which add materially to the beauty and completeness of the work. The printing of the book was in the hands of Mr. Frederick E. Keast of H.S. Crocker Company Incorporated, whose great personal interest in the volume has been manifested by an untiring effort to improve the quality thereof. Through the gracious cooperation of Dr. John Henry Nash, the foremost designer of printing on the American continent, the book appears in a unique and appropriate form, embodying the finest elements of the printer's craft. An increase in the number of plates and also a finer quality of workmanship than was first contemplated have been made possible by Mr. C.E. Benson of the Los Angeles Engraving Company, who entered heart and soul into the production of this volume. The pre-publication sale of this book has been without known precedent. The subscription list for the first edition of 550 copies was closed a year before the manuscript was given to the printer. The second, or King Solomon edition, 550 copies, the third, or Theosophical edition, 200 copies, and the fourth, or Rosicrucian edition, 100 copies, were sold before the finished volume was received from the printer. For so ambitious a production, this constitutes a unique achievement. The credit for this extraordinary sales program belongs to Mrs. Maud F. Gallagher, Gallagher, G-A-L-I-G-H-E-R, Gallagher, who had as her ideal not to sell the book in the commercial sense of the word, but to place it in the hands of those particularly interested in the subject matter it contains. Valuable assistance in this respect was also rendered by numerous friends who had attended many lectures and who without compensation undertook and successfully accomplished the distribution of the book. In conclusion, the author wishes to acknowledge gratefully his indebtedness to each one of the hundreds of subscribers through whose advance payments the publication of this folio was made possible. To undertake the enormous expense involved was entirely beyond his individual means, and those who invested in the volume had no assurance of its production and no security other than their faith in the integrity of the writer. I sincerely hope that each reader will profit from the perusal of this book, even as I have profited from the writing of it. The years of labor and thought expended upon it have meant much to me. The research work discovered to me many great truths. The writing of it discovered to me the laws of order and patience. The printing of it discovered to me new wonders of the arts and crafts. And the whole enterprise has discovered to me a multitude of friends whom otherwise I might never have known. And so, in the words of John Bunyan, I penned it down until at last it came to be, for length and breadth, the bigness which you see. This is so cool. And that was written by Manly P. Hall, May 28th, 1928, Los Angeles, California. So those are all the forwards to all the printings. And this is a reprint of those first 200 Philosophical Society ones. Yeah, it's not one of those. Those are thousands of dollars. Those books are thousands of dollars. Oh, okay. So let's see here. I think I'm going to read the table of contents and the illustrations in the text. And I don't know if I'm going to even get into this intro. Okay, so should I read the table of contents? I think I will. A dedication, preface, color plates, illustration to the text, the introduction, and then we get to the ancient mysteries and secret societies which have influenced modern Masonic symbolism, which is ancient systems of education, Celsus concerning the Christians, knowledge necessary to right living, the Druidic mysteries of Britain and Gaul, the rites of Mithras, the Mithraic and Christian mysteries contrasted. And then the next one we have is The Ancient Mysteries and Secret Societies, Part 2. The Gnostic Mysteries, Simon Magus and Basilides, I'm not sure, Abraxas, the Gnostic concept of deity, the mysteries of Serapis, labyrinth symbolism, the Odinic or Gothic mysteries. And then we have The Ancient Mysteries and Secret Societies, Part 3, The Illusion Mysteries, the Lesser Rites, the Greater Rites, the Orphic Mysteries, the Bacchic Mysteries, the Dionysiac Mysteries. Then we have Atlantis and the Gods of Antiquity, Plato's Atlantis, in the light of modern science, the myth of the dying god, the rite of Tammuz and Ishtar, the mysteries of Attis and Adonis, the rites of Sabazius, the Sabiric mysteries of Samothrace, and that's 33. That's page 33. The life and writings of Thoth Hermes Trismegistus. That's suppositions concerning identity of Hermes, the mutilated Hermetic fragments, the Book of Thoth, Poimandres, the version of Hermes, the mystery of universal mind, the seven governors of the world. 37. The initiation of the pyramid, the opening of the Great Pyramid by Caliph al-Mamun, the passageways and chambers of the Great Pyramid, the riddle of the Sphinx, the pyramid mysteries, the secret of the pyramid coffer, the dwelling place of the hidden god. Is it Elf? Is Elf 50? Right? These titles? Does L mean 50 in Roman numerals? So yeah, that would be then 41. Weird. I think that says 41. Okay, cool. I'm learning things. Isis, the Virgin of the World. The birthdays of the gods, the murder of Osiris, the Hermetic Isis, the symbols peculiar to Isis, the troubadours, the mummification of the dead. 45. The sun, a universal deity, the solar trinity, Christianity and the sun, the birth of the sun, the three suns, the celestial inhabitants of the sun, the midnight sun. 49, I think. The zodiac and its signs. Primitive astronomical instruments, the equinoxes and solstices, the astrological ages of the world, the circular zodiac of Tentira, Tentyra, an interpretation of the zodiacal signs, the horoscope of the world. 53. The Bembine Table of Isis, or Bembine. Plato's initiation in the Great Pyramid, the history of the Bembine Table, Platonic theory of ideas, the interplay of the three philosophical zodiacs, the Chaldean philosophy of triads, the Orphic egg. 57. Wonders of Antiquity. The ever-burning lamps, the Oracle of Delphi, the Dodonian Oracle, the Oracle of Trophonius, the initiated architects, the seven wonders of the world. 61. The life and philosophy of Pythagoras, Pythagoras and the school of Crotona. I came across that word tonight already once, Crotona. Pythagorean fundamentals, the symmetrical solids, the symbolic aphorisms of Pythagoras, Pythagorean astronomy, and Kepler's story of the universe. 65. Pythagorean mathematics, the theory of numbers, the numerical values of letters, method of securing the numerical power of words, an introduction to the Pythagorean theory of numbers, the sieve of Eratosthenes, the meaning of the 10 numbers. 69, I think. LXIX. Is that 69? The human body in symbolism, the philosophical mannequin, the three universal centers, the temples of initiation, the hand in symbolism, the greater and lesser man, the anthropos, or oversoul. 73. The Hiramic legend, the building of Solomon's temple, the murder of Hiram Abiff. It's like a big C there, of Hiram Abiff, or Chiram Abiff. I think it's Hiram, isn't it? It could be Hiram. Hiram Abiff. The martyrdom of Jacques, it's not yet, it's Jacques de Molay. Jacques de Molay, the spirit fire and the pineal gland, the wanderings of the astronomical Hiram, Cleopatra's needle and Mason's marks. 67. No, wait. 50, 60, 75, 70, 77, I think. Shit. 77, I think. 50, 60, 75, 6, 7, 7, yeah, 77. And then the Pythagorean theory of music and color. Pythagoras and the diatonic scale, therapeutic music, the music of the spheres, the use of color in symbolism, the colors of the spectrum, and the musical scale. Zodiacal and planetary colors. 81. Fishes, insects, animals, reptiles, and birds. Jonah and the whale, the fish, the symbol of Christ. IXOYE. I did research on that this week. That's something that's been with me since I was a child. I was realizing that I've always been drawn to symbols because I was always obsessed with that fish and how they drew it in the sand, and then they knew that they were a part of the same group together. IXOYE. Anyways, the fish and the symbol of Christ, the Egyptian scarab, Jupiter's fly, the serpent of wisdom, the sacred crocodile. 85. Fishes, insects, animals, reptiles, and birds, part 2. The dove, the yonic emblem, yoni. The self-renewing phoenix, the great seal of the United States of America. Bast, the cat goddess of the Ptolemies. Apis or Apis, the sacred bull. The monoceros or unicorn. 89. Flowers, plants, fruits, and trees. The flower, a phallic symbol. The lotus blossom, the Scandinavian world tree, Yggdrasil. The sprig of acacia, the juice of the grape, the magical powers of the mandrake. Oh, what is C? What does C mean? Code? Can you help me? Is C 100? I bet it is. I bet that's 93. I'm going to say 93. Okay, stones, metals, and gems. Thank you, Rose. Prehistoric monuments, the tablets of the law, the Holy Grail, the ages of the world, talismanic jewelry, zodiacal and planetary stones and gems. 97. Ceremonial magic and sorcery, the black magic of Egypt, Dr. Johannes Faustus. The Mephistopheles of the grimoires, the invocation of spirits, pacts with demons, the symbolism of the pentagram. 101. The elements and their inhabitants, the Paracelsian theory of submundanes, the orders of elemental beings, the gnomes, undines, salamanders, and sylphs, demonology, the incubus and succubus, vampirism. 105. Hermetic pharmacology, chemistry, and therapeutics, the healing methods of Paracelsus, palingenesis, Hermetic theories concerning the cause of disease, medicinal properties of herbs, the use of drugs and mysteries, the sect of the assassins. 109. Oh shit. Oh wait. I want to look at that. The Kabbalah, the secret doctrine of Israel, the written and unwritten laws, the origin of the Qabbalistic writings, Rabbi Simeon ben Jochai, the great Qabbalistic books, the divisions of the Qabbalistic system, the Sefer Yetzirah. Dude, I just looked up how to say all those. Hey, Genevieve, welcome in. Dude, juicy. And we're only reading the table of contents. And that is 113. Fundamentals of Kabbalistic cosmogony, Ein Sof, and the cosmic egg, the Kabbalistic system of worlds, the Kabbalistic interpretation of Ezekiel's vision, the great image of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, the grand man of the universe, the 50 gates of life. 117. The tree of Sephiroth, or Sephiro, both. I looked up how to pronounce these just again recently too. The 32 paths of wisdom, the greater and the lesser face, Kircher's Sephirothic tree, the mystery of Doth, the 3 pillars supporting the Sephirothic tree, the 4 letters of the sacred name. 121. Kabbalistic keys to the creation of man, gematria, Notarikon, which is Notarikon, and Temura, the Elohim, the 4 atoms, Arabian traditions concerning Adam as the archetype of mankind, the early Christian church on the subject of marriage. 125. An analysis of the tarot cards. The origin of playing cards, the Rota Mundi of the Rosicrucians, the problem of tarot symbolism, the unnumbered card, the symbolism of the 21 major trumps, the suit cards, and that is 129. The tabernacle in the wilderness, Moses, the Egyptian initiate, the building of the tabernacle, the furnishings of the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark, the robes of glory, the Urim and Thummim. 133. The Fraternity of the Rose Cross, the life of Father C.R.C. Johann Valentin Andrea, the alchemical teachings of the Rosicrucians, significance of the Rose Cross, the Rosicrucian Temple, the Adepts of the Rose Cross. 137. Rosicrucian doctrines and tenets, the Confessio Fraternalis, the Anatomy of Melancholy, John Hayden on Rosicrucianism, the Three Mountains of the Wise, the Philosophical Egg, the Objects of the Rosicrucian Order. 341. Or no, 141, rather. 15 Rosicrucian and Qabbalistic diagrams. Schemaeum, the Ocean of Spirit, the 7 Days of Creation, the Symbolic Tomb of Christian Rosicrucian, the Regions of the Elements, the New Jerusalem, the Grand Secret of Nature. 145. Alchemy and its exponents, or exponents. The multiplication of metals, the metal of Emperor Leopold I, Paracelsus of Hohenheim, Raymond Lully, Nicholas Flamel, Count Bernard of Treviso. 149. The theory and practice of alchemy, the origin of alchemical philosophy, Alexander the Great and the Talking Trees, nature and art, alchemical symbolism, the Song of Solomon, the Philosopher's Gold. 153. The theory and practice of alchemy, Part 2, the alchemical prayer, the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, a letter from the brothers of R.C., the magical mountain of the moon, an alchemical formula, the dew of the sages. 157. The chemical marriage. Christian Rosenkreutz is invited to the chemical wedding, the Virgo Lucifera, the Philosophical Inquisition, the Tower of Olympus, the Homunculi, the Knights of the Golden Stone. 161. Bacon, Shakespeare, and the Rosicrucians, the Rosicrucian Masque, life of William Shakespeare, Sir Francis Bacon, the acrostic signatures, the significant number 33, the philosophic death, acrostic, ACROSTIC. Let's look it up. Hey, Hub, welcome in. Wow, I've got so much stuff around now that I have this music stand out. Acrostic. Okay, wait. Sir Francis Bacon. Hey. Acrostic. The acrostic signatures. It's not capitalized. Okay. It's a poem, word puzzle, or other composition in which certain letters in each line form a word or words. Badass.
Acrostic. Acrostic.
Acrostic. Cool. Okay. It's closer to my face. Okay, so acrostic. The acrostic signatures. Ooh. I've read a little bit about that too. I didn't know that word, but it's in Manly P. Hall books. Okay, the significant number 33, the philosophic death. The cryptogram. Oh, and that was 165. So the cryptogram as a factor in symbolic philosophy. Secret alphabets, the bilateral cipher, pictorial ciphers. I think this is like acrostic. Or wait, maybe it's not. Achromatic ciphers. Achromatic ciphers. Numerical and musical ciphers, and code ciphers. 169. Freemasonic symbolism, the pillars raised by the sons of Seth, Enoch, and the royal arches. The Dionysiac. Let's find out how to say that properly, right? Man, it's really hard to get to my... I got this. I want to know how to say that properly. Dionysiac. Dionysiac, is that it? Dionysiac. It's got to be Dionysiac, right?
Dionysian.
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 Dionysiac. Okay. Okay, so the Dionysiac architects, the Roman Collegia, Solomon, the personification of universal wisdom, Freemasonry's priceless heritage. 173. Mystic Christianity, Saint Irenaeus on the life of Christ, the original name of Jesus, the christened man, the Essenes, the Arthurian cycle, Merlin the mage. 177. The cross and the crucifixion, the Aurea Legenda, the lost libraries of Alexandria, the cross in pagan symbolism, the crucifixion, a cosmic allegory, the crucifixion of Quetzalcoatl, the nails of the Passion. 181. The mystery of the Apocalypse, the sacred city of Ephesus, the authorship of the Apocalypse, the Alpha and Omega, the Lamb of God, the four horsemen, the number of the beast. 185. The faith of Islam, the life of Muhammad, the revelation of the Quran, the valedictory pilgrimage, the tomb of the Prophet, the Kaaba at Mecca, the secret doctrine of Islam. 189. American Indian symbolism, the ceremony of the peace pipe, the historical Hiawatha, the Popol Vuh, American Indian sorcery, the mysteries of Chibalba, the Midawinwin. 190. 43. Oh, wait. No, it can't be that. 193. CXCIII. Yeah, 193. The mysteries and their emissaries. The golden chain of Homer. Hypatia. The Alexandrian Neoplatonist. The divine Cagliostro. The Comte de Saint Germain. The designing of the American flag. The Declaration of Independence. 197. The conclusion. The conclusion is 201. The bibliography is 205, and the index is 212. Ah, cool! I'm learning Roman numerals. Hey, Emoji King, Mary! Dude, welcome everyone. This is so cool. So, 1111 it says up there. Oh my gosh, cool. This is getting all weird and it's all good. I got this. Oh, I see. Oops. Okay. So, color plates. These are all the titles of the pictures that are beautiful and huge. So, Prince Ragazzi of Transylvania, Comte de Saint Germain. That was the frontispiece. And, that was my knee that popped. I don't know if you heard it, but. Group of World Religions. That's 13. Mithra, in the form of the Leontocephalic Chronos, 21. Abraxas, a Gnostic Pantheos, 25. An initiation ceremony in the Eleusinian Mysteries, 29. Odin, the Scandinavian father god, 33. Hermes standing upon the back of Typhon, 37. An idealistic depiction of the Atlantean Mystery Temple, 41. The Sciatic, it's Saitic. Satic. Save this world adjective of or relating to the ancient Egyptian city of Sais, or it's an okay, cool. The Satic Isis, cool. And that is 45. Celestial Virgin with Sun God in her arms, 49. The contents of the zodiacal egg, 53. The Bembine Table of Isis, 57. Consulting the Oracle of Delphi, 59. Pythagoras of Crotona, 60. Wait, the other one was. The Consulting of the Oracle of Delphi is actually 61. LXI. And then Pythagoras of Crotona is 65. The 47th proposition of Euclid, 69. The Hand of the Mysteries, 73. King Solomon and the Shed, 67. No. 77. My adding's just on point, in it. 77. LXXVII. 77. The macrocosm and the microcosm. 81. Oannes, the fishman. 85. The jewel of the rose Croix, St. Croix, Croix. 89. The Yggdrasil tree. 93. The Philosopher's Stone. 97. The Invocation of Mephistopheles. 101. Magician Invoking Elementals. 105. The Consummation of the Magnum Opus. 109. The Ancient of the Ancients. 113. The Grand Man of the Zohar. 117. The Tree of the Sephiroth. 121. The Cherub of Ezekiel. 125. The Layout of Major Tarot Trumps. 129. The Courtyard of the Tabernacle. 133. The Rosicrucian Philosopher. 137. Opening the Tomb of the Father. CRC. 141. Grand Rosicrucian Alchemical Formula. 145. Paracelsus performing the experiment of palingenesis. 149. Casting the Molten Sea. 153. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes. 157. 7 pages of color plates from a Hermetic manuscript written and illustrated in Naples by Claudius de Domenico Celentano Vallis Novi. 161. Shakespeare portrait with Bacon portrait superimposed. Oh, I saw that one. It's so cool. 165. The Heraldic Arms of our Lord Jesus Christ. 169. The 3 Grand Masters of the Lodge of Jerusalem. 173. Parsifal and the Holy Grail. 177. A Rosicrucian Crucifixion. 181. The Key to Dante's Divine Comedy. 185. Mohammed cleansing the Kaaba of idolatry. 189. The Mysteries of Chibalba. 193. The Martyrdom of Hypatia. 197. The Double-Headed Eagle, the Supreme Symbol. 201. Wow. There's also illustrations in the text that are black and white. Holy majoli. So I'm not going to read the numbers on these, but I'm going to blast through them. And then when we go live with this book again, which I'm going to try and keep myself accountable here for once a week for this book. But if I'm feeling like I got to dig in, who knows when I'll go live with it again. The illustrations in the text: Babbitt's Atom, Plato, The Problem of Diversity, Anus or Enos. It's like an A and an E, N-E-A-S. Aeneas at the Gate of Hell. The Ptolemaic Scheme of the Universe, The Tree of Classical Mythology, A Christian Trinity, The Orphic Egg, A Female Hierophant of the Mysteries, The Arch-Druid in his ceremonial robes, or arch, The Ground Plan of Stonehenge, Mithras slaying the bull, The Birth of Mithras, The Death of Simon the Magician, The Lion-Faced Light Power, A Symbolic Labyrinth, The Alexandrian Serapis, The 9 Worlds of the Odinic Mysteries, The Rape of Persephone, Ceres, the Patron of the Mysteries, The Professional of the Bacchic Rites, The Scheme of the Universe according to the Greeks and Romans, The Great God Pan, Hermes, Mercurius Trismegistus, Thoth the Ibis-headed, The Greek Form of Hermes, Oedipus and the Sphinx, A Vertical Section of the Great Pyramid, Isis, Queen of Heaven, The Sistrum, Thoth the Dog-headed, The Egyptian Madonna, Osiris, King of the Underworld, The Lion of the Sun, The Winged Globe of Egypt, The 3 Suns, Surya, the Regent of the Sun, The Solar Face, and then there's a chart showing the relationship between the human body and the exterior universe, the equinoxes and solstices, the microcosm, the circular zodiac of Tentira, hieroglyphic plan by Hermes of the ancient zodiac, Levi's key to the Bembine table, or Bembine, Westcott's key to the Bembine table, base of a Delphian tripod, the Delphian tripod restored, the Pythian Apollo, the Dodonian Jupiter, Trophonius of Lebadia, Pythagoras, the first philosopher, the symmetrical geometric solids, number related to form, the tetractys, the cube, and the star, the numerical values of Hebrew, Greek, and Sumerian alphabets, the sieve of Eratosthenes, the tetragrammaton in the human heart, hand decorated with the effigies of Jesus Christ, the Virgin Mary, and the 12 apostles, the threefold life of the inner man, the divine tree in man, reverse, the divine tree in man, obverse, the Masonic apron with symbolic figures, the emblematic hand of the mysteries, Diana of Ephesus, the intervals and harmonies of the spheres, the consonances of the mundane monochord, the mundane monochord with its proportions and intervals, the theory of elemental music, the 4 elements and their consonantal intervals, the first incarnation, or Matsya avatar of Vishnu, the manticora, royal Egyptian scarab, the fleur-de-lis, the scorpion talisman, the uraeus, good and evil contending for the universal egg, the phoenix on its nest of flames, phoenix or eagle, which? An Egyptian phoenix, The obverse and reverse of the Great Seal of the United States of America. The Sacred Bull, or Apis, Aeneas and the Harpies, the Tree of the Knights of the Round Table, the Tree of Noah, the Sunflower, the Tree of Alchemy, Saturn swallowing the stone substituted for Jupiter, Moses receiving the tables of the law, examples of Hermea or Herme, Hermae together, it's like one letter, the Pythagorean signet ring, Baphomet, the goat of Mendes, a magical sword, a magical circle, the pentagram, form of pact with the spirit of Jupiter, the pentacles of the 7 planets and the seals of characters of the planetary angels, a salamander according to Paracelsus, conventional gnomes, a mermaid, a sylph, the title page of the Book of Alze, Alze, Johannes Baptist von Helmont, Nicholas Culpeper, chemical symbols, the 72 names of God, the Tetragrammaton, the Hebrew letters according to the Sefer Yetzirah, the Hebrew triad, the plan of divine activity, the Qabbalistic scheme of the 4 worlds, the 4 Sephirothic trees, a table of Sephirothic correspondences, the Sephirothic tree of the lesser Kabbalists, the Sephiroth in the form of the solar system, the vision of Ezekiel, Noah and his zodiacal ark, early Portuguese cards, a card from the magenta pack, or rather, a card from the Mantegna pack, or Mantegna pack, the Ancient of Days, the breastplate of the high priest, the garments of glory, the headdress of the priests, the ark with its cherubim, the golden and rosy cross, the crucified rose, the Rosicrucian rose, the crest of Johann Valentin Andreae, a symbolic diagram of the operations of nature, the alchemical androgyny, a Rosicrucian title page, the elemental world, von Welding diagrams, table 1, figures 1 to 11, table 2, figures 21 to 51, von Welling diagrams, table 3, figure 53, table 4, figure 53, table 5, figure 54, table 6, figures 55 and 50 through 59, table 7, figures 1 through 5, 7, and 8. We have more von Welling's diagrams, all the tables, and more von Welling diagrams, all the tables and figures, all the way up through 15. 15 tables. We've got Paracelsus, not to be confused with Paraclesis. My bad. Albertus Magnus, title page of alchemical tract attributed to John Kremer, the symbols of Abraham the Jew, the leaves of Hermes' sacred tree, the table of medieval alchemical symbols, the key to alchemy according to the Egyptians, the invisible magical mountain, title page of 1616 edition of Chemist Hoxet, or by Christian Rosicrucian. Key to the great philosophical secret, the universe created by the dual principle of light and darkness, headpiece showing light and shaded A's, title page of Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy, a Baconian signature, Francis Bacon, Baron Verulam, Viscount St. Albans. A cryptic headpiece. The Droeshout Portrait of Shakespeare. The title page of the famous first edition of Sir Walter Raleigh's History of the World. A famous cryptic title page. An example of bilateral writing. The key to the bilateral cipher. A wheel or disc cipher. The bilateral alphabet. And alchemical cryptogram, and then another alchemical cryptogram. A cryptic decryption, or rather, a cryptic depiction of divine and natural justice. Qabbalistic and magic alphabets. The mystery of the macrocosm. The mystery of the microcosm. The Round Table of King Arthur. The Great George and Collar of the Garter. Jacob Boehme, the Teutonic Theosopher. The Nimbus and Aureole in Symbolism. History of the Holy Cross. The Easter Island figure showing crux and Sata on reverse. The Tau Cross, the T. The crux and Sata. Apollonius of Tyana. The Crucifixion of Quetzalcoatl. The Crucifixion in Space. The Throne of God and of the Lamb. Dramatic episodes from the mysteries of the Apocalypse. John's vision of the New Jerusalem. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Muhammad's night journey to heaven. The Kaaba, the holy place of Islam. A Navajo sand painting. Fragment of Indian pottery. Midawinwin record on birch bark. The Table of Sebes. The Divine Cagliostro. John and the Vision of the Apocalypse. And lastly, the entrance to the House of the Mysteries. And those are all pictures. They're all pictures in here. Excuse me. Good to see you, Juice. Is he here? Did I miss it? So we'll end with this one picture here. Group of world religions redrawn from Lenoir's La Franche Maconnerie. Let's read about it. At the left of the plate stands Muhammad, holding aloft pages from the Quran, his left foot upon an image which he has overthrown. Behind Muhammad, the celestial bull, signifying the constellation of Taurus, opens the egg of the year with his horns. At the lower right is a bas-relief of the Persian sun god, Mithras, in an attitude signifying the conquest of the sun over the celestial bull at the ancient vernal equinox. In the center stands the high priest of Israel, his right arm encircling the base of the seven-branched candlestick, the mosaic symbol of the planetary governor of the world, or the planetary governors of the world. To his right is the statue of the golden calf, and to his left, the robed figures of the Greek mystics, bearing a tripod in which burns the sacrificial fire. Behind the bull, Apis, crowned with the lunar globe, and Father Nile, bearing the horn of plenty and pouring the waters of life from his urn, loom the pyramids, the great Egyptian temples of initiation. In the clouds at the left is the seated figure of Jupiter Ammon, brandishing a flaming thunderbolt and horn to signify that he partakes of the great Egyptian, or he partakes of the attributes of the zodiacal ram. In the heavens appears the mystery of the apocalypse. The four creatures of Ezekiel's vision, surround an altar upon which is the book of 7 seals and the Lamb of God. At the upper left is the band of the zodiac. The constellations of Taurus, Aries, and Pisces represent the stellar influences which, according to the ancients, descending upon the earth, are responsible for the establishment of the religious and philosophical institutions herein set forth. Ooh. Dude, these pictures are amazing. Is this a heart? Thermospinal. Negative and vortex. Wow, I'll show you what I'm looking at, but this is one of the black and white pictures. Babbitt's atom. I don't know if you can tell if it's in those like swirls in there. It says thermospiral. Dude. Okay, y'all. We will get into the introduction when I go live with this again, probably next week. Hey, Sass. Awesome, everyone. What a juicy read. Like I said, maybe in 2 years we'll be finished with this one, but at least we started, right? Dang, juicy. I've only flipped through this book and read certain sections here and there. I never read it front to back. Oh, gosh. So thanks for hanging out with me. I love yous. And I have a big tomorrow ahead of me. I don't know if I'll go live, but if I do, it'll probably be later. But yeah. I wish you wonderful rest of your weeks. And I love you. And yeah, do it like you feel it. So until then, thank you so much. Mwah. I will see you then. Thank you.